In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, me and my brother James Barlowe, we are doing preseason rookie report volume 4. In this series that we're doing this week, we're just covering some of the top performances, that maybe not all top performances, but we're covering some of the performances from the rookies from the 2024 NBA draft class as they are preparing for their first NBA season, and the regular season is around the corner. But stay tuned to hear our thoughts on Jaylon Tyson, Johnson, Dalton Knecht, Edey, Tidjane Salaun, Cody Williams, and Dillon Jones. We're just going to share our thoughts on how they played in Thursday night's games. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe. Like I mentioned in the open, my co-host for today is none other than my brother James. And before we get into this episode, I want to let you know that it is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On NBA. You can get $20 off your first purchase. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Make sure you click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop, because we're dropping 5 days a week and some. And this week we've had a lot of new subscribers, a lot of comments. Some of them, just fun. Of course, you got to deal with the good and the bad, people calling you stupid and dumb and all that stuff. But, it's all in fun. I guess it's just kind of human nature. If there's 80 comments that are good or solid, it's human nature to focus on, the trolls and all of that. But it's all in fun. But anyway, let's talk about some of the players that stood out in Thursday night's preseason action. I want to start off with Jaylon Tyson. Jaylon felt like he didn't play a lot of minutes the first game. Or if he did, he got in like late in the game in the second half. Got to start last night. And Jaylon had I thought he showed why, at least I was high on him. I don't know, you were pretty high on Jaylon.
I was extremely high on Jaylon Tyson. I thought he was a lottery pick.
Yeah, well, he unfortunately didn't go lottery, but he had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists against the Pacers. What were your overall thoughts on Jaylon's performance, and like what stood out to you?
The stat sheet is the stat sheet, 11.6 rebounds, 4 assists. It felt like he did most of that, though, at least the scoring against like the third string. That was like late in the second half. But like, I like his pace. I like that he's shifty. He can get to the basket. He drilled a 3-pointer in the first half. I like him a lot. Finishing at the basket. I mean, he's not the most explosive guy in traffic, but he gets there. He'll probably have to be like a 2-foot, floater kind of guy in the paint. But like, he has a lot of talent. And like I had mentioned on the other podcast we did talking about him, I just don't know how he's going to get minutes on that team with all those wings, at least early on. It just seems like it's going to be a stretch to find minutes for him. But like I said, I like him a lot. I wish he was in a different situation because, you see he can pass. You see he rebounds. Like, he's very active. Until they move on from Karis LeVert, it just looks like he's going to be on at the end of that bench for a while.
I still think he's going to find a way to play. Just because he's tough, he's rugged, he rebounds, he passes the ball, and he can knock down open shots. I think it's difficult to keep that type of connector off the floor. And I know, it looks like an uphill battle based off of, what they have right now on the roster, or who they have on the roster. But I think he's going to find a way, especially if he can knock down shots. But the rebounding, the connective passing, I mean, there was a play where he drove baseline and hit Craig Porter, who was cutting, who had a backwards dunk. Just the feel as a passer. Now, he did struggle with turnovers. He was a little loose with the ball. He had 4 turnovers against the Pacers. But overall, I just thought like he just did a lot of things that you would like from a rookie role player that is going to have to complement your big money guys. So There's a play where he caught Ben Mathering slipping, had a backdoor cut. There was, another play where he got the ball on the baseline and had a nice spin move where he would exploit it like, a smaller defender.
And he gets fouled too.
He gets fouled. And you're right. Like, I feel like the lack of vertical pop around the rim was on display. There were some times where it just looks like he just wasn't able to like just get up quick enough to avoid like the rim protector. But I think once he just kind of figures out how to be, like you said, the 2-foot guy, he already does a good job of using his body, but just kind of figuring out how to offset, like not being able, just the adjustment of finishing at the rim in the NBA. But despite the 4 turnovers, I thought that he showed that, he can pass and make reads. He's unselfish. So again, guys like that, to me, I just think it's hard to keep off the floor.
I agree. Like I said, I would have loved him in Sacramento. I think he would have worked out in Utah. We'll get to that a little later. But I mean, there's just a lot to like about Jaylon Tyson, and he's doing everything that he was doing in summer league. So you can see that it's translating: the scoring, the rebounding, the playmaking. He can do it in the preseason. And again, when he does get his opportunity, I feel like he's going to be fine. I just don't know when he's going to get his opportunity.
Yeah, I like they gave him some ball handling duties. Like it was early in the game. I want to say it was like early first quarter. He was able to bring the ball up and kind of initiate the offense. All right, let's talk about AJ Johnson. I thought AJ had a fun game. 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He was like the biggest surprise on draft night that he went in the first round. I know he averaged, I don't remember off the top of my head, 3 points a game, barely played. Again, I wasn't, doing like, the podcast during the draft, but I watched the draft and
listen,
that was the biggest.
I did the podcast during the draft, and I was telling Richard, I was telling Leaf, I was like, look, if you ignore the numbers and you don't watch his early film, you can see that the young fella is talented and he can play. Yeah. And when he does good things, it really, really pops. And when he does bad things, you'd be like, all right, he is not anywhere near an NBA player. So, and like a lot of young guys, consistency is an issue. Well, last night against the Lakers, you got the good AJ Johnson. And I'm going to get to it before you get to it, but he finished on Anthony Davis in the second half. That wasn't the third string guys.
Yeah.
That wasn't Traore, Nolan Traore's cousin, I'm assuming. Probably not, but like that was Anthony Davis. That was the premier defender in the NBA. He finished on Anthony Davis, and that was off of like getting downhill off a high pick and roll. He has a lot of talent and speed. He hits threes. Like he's going to be really good. I just don't know when he's going to be really good because you have to think there's no way he's going to play this year because they have championship aspirations, but he might just be undeniable, at least in the regular season. But like, yeah, he shows flashes. He knows that if Bobby Portis sets a screen for me and I draw 2, Bobby Portis is wide open. That's an easy assist. Yo, shout out to AJ Johnson, man. The best thing that happened to him was going to Australia.
I don't know. If he doesn't go to Australia, he might have been a lottery pick. He's the same things you may like about
term, though, man. Sometimes the short-term dunk isn't as good as the long-term layup. And I think just from
no sense.
It makes sense. Listen to me. That dunk you take in the short term may not be good for you. You got to get better. I think he got better in that situation in Australia where he had to learn how to play point guard. He dealt with grown men, not the grown men you see in college, but like I just feel like that helped him out a lot, especially when he started getting those minutes later on after the coaching change.
I'll say this before we go to break. The same things you may like about Rob Dillingham are the same things you may like about AJ Johnson. AJ's a little bigger, so that's why I said if he would have went to, I think he was committed to Texas, or it had the freedom that Rob had, we could have been talking about him as a lottery pick. All right, we'll talk a little bit more about AJ Johnson, but let's talk about Game Time, my favorite app when it comes to purchasing tickets. What I love about Game Time is it's not just for sports. It's for theater, comedy, plays, and more. They have all-in pricing. All you have to do is toggle the feature on the app, and it will show you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. And you also get a panoramic view from the seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly where you are sitting. Check out the Game Time app. I'm telling you, it's my favorite app when it comes to purchasing tickets. They have a lowest price guarantee. If you find something cheaper, they will credit you 110% of the difference, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So download the Game Time app today, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create an account, use the redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. All right, let's get back to AJ Johnson. So I was saying that a lot of the things I know you personally liked about Rob Dillingham, I see those qualities, or at least similarities, AJ Johnson. Uber confident, shifty, dancy with the ball, offensive creativity, shows the ability to stop and pop and pull up. Now, AJ's pull-up jumper isn't like Rob's, but AJ was very confident in letting it fly from deep when defenders went under screens. There's one play where Dalton Knecht, I don't know what he was doing. And I get why people were saying Knecht is a bad defender. But there was a play, AJ was bringing the ball up court. It was like a screen, and Knecht just went with the roll man and left AJ wide open. He drained a pull-up three. AJ was making catch and shoot threes. But that play where he tacked AD, like, first of all, I think it was a ball screen. He's got a slippery handle, got by his man, got where he wanted to, got downhill, finished with the left hand. There was a play before he missed it, but he shot like the left hand wrong foot. It was like the left hand, left foot scoop shot. Mm-hmm. And so he likes to go left. He's one of the righties that likes to go left. But I think he's fun to watch. I don't know if he's going to play this year for two reasons. He's got two things working against him. One, the Bucks are trying to win
now.
And two, Doc Rivers it doesn't have a reputation for playing a lot of rookies. And so AJ's probably going to be with the Wisconsin Herd.
But that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. He's going to get some experience there. I think him and Tyler Smith are going to spend a lot of time there. But I think the future is bright for AJ. And even though it's really early and you don't want to like overreact on any situation, but I do think that people may be starting to turn the corner and understand why the Bucks selected him in the first round, despite not having the production that you look for. And sometimes production isn't everything. I'm going on a tangent here. Derek Lively was not productive at Duke as far as just raw stats, like 5 points per game, and now he's a very important piece of the Mavs puzzle. So I think Bucks fans have to be pretty pleased with what they've seen from AJ Johnson so far.
He gets to it, man. That confidence is so important, and confidence and working on your game, and when they come together, you get good results.
It's half the battle. It's half the battle. Like, especially when you're a rookie and you're going up against these guys you've been watching on TV for a while, and if you come out confident and act like you belong, it's going to show. And I've been watching a lot of these preseason games. I've been to a couple, and there's some guys that just look like, hey, I'm here to let guys know that I belong, and AJ Johnson is one of them. Speaking of Bobby Portis, that was very smart. I feel like, man, you're just stealing my notes. But AJ seemed like, you know what? When I get in trouble, I'm going to look for Bobby Portis. I'm going to draw two. And very, very smart for him to build chemistry with Bobby Portis, because if he's in a situation where he has to be like their backup point guard, he's already made a friend in Bobby Portis.
He's not on the show rundown, but You can see Isaiah Collier has figured it out in transition. Where is number 23? Because listen, if I can get 3 to 4 assists tonight, if I find number 23, Lowry marking it, I get downhill. Where is he at? Like little things like that, man. That keeps you on the floor. Like that's just smart basketball.
Yeah. If I'm a rookie point guard and I want to like get in at least the second unit, man, I'm finding that pick and pop big, or maybe the roll man, and I'm I'm being his best friend.
Yeah.
Same thing if I'm a big, and like if I'm Tyler Smith, I'm like asking Dame every day, hey man, can we work out together? Because I want them pick and pop jumpers if I'm Tyler Smith.
Yeah. But like, yeah, man, like these young guards that figure out who to get the ball to, man, that's half the battle. And like AJ Johnson, you're gonna score. You have the reputation of being a scorer, but if you draw two and Bobby Porter screens for you, man, you can just run down the court because that's going up and he can shoot.
I want to transition to Dalton Knecht. Now, Knecht put up numbers, like raw numbers, a lot of shots. But overall, despite the fact that I think he was like 5 of 16 from the floor, he
Yeah.
had 13 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. I thought there were some pretty encouraging signs from Dalton Knecht, especially as how it relate to playing with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. One, Knecht is going to let it fly. And speaking of confidence, Dalton Knecht is one of those guys that just exudes confidence when he's on the floor. He's very confident in his shot. You talk about a guy that can catch with no dip like Clay.
Yeah.
If it touches his fingers, it's going up. And so he hasn't shot the ball really well from three. I think once he kind of settles in into the role that he's actually going to play for the Lakers, I think he's going to be fine because he has some like good looks from the corner. Mm-hmm. He's going to get more of those when he's playing with LeBron, AD, Austin Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell, all plus passers. And for him, he's not a plus passer, even though right now I think he's like third on the Lakers in assists in the preseason. But I think he's going to thrive as a shooter and transition finisher for the Lakers.
Yeah. And I think one thing that's kind of well, not really unheralded or untalked about, but not talked about, excuse me, he rebounds. Yeah. Right. And obviously AD rebounds. Obviously LeBron's a great rebounder, but like he rebounds, and it's offensive rebounds too. Those things, like he will be a corner boy, come regular season time. But like him hitting the glass, a good athlete, him cutting, those things will help him out. And he'll be a 3 and no D guy because he's not really a good defender, but he does other things besides shoot, catch, and shoot threes. I think he's going to be good. We talked about situations. He's in a great situation because his best asset is shooting, and he's going to get open shots. And it's just going to come a matter of him making these shots. In these preseason games, he's being used like he was used at Tennessee as a scorer. And I don't foresee him getting that kind of action, at least with the volume that he's getting, just because of how the rosters are shaking out in preseason.
Yeah, but the key for me is seeing how confident he is.
Yes, but he's 23, man. You need to be confident, man.
I mean, sometimes people
just veteran age.
Man, there's people that are grown adults and don't have confidence in themselves or the job that they do. And so I think like even if he's 23 or 18 or 19, he still is confident. He's playing like the way he played at Tennessee. He's not letting like, the better athletes and the speed of the game change how he plays. Now he is going to have to change how he plays once he's on the floor with LeBron and AD, but I think his game is suited to where if one of those guys are out or both of those guys are out, he's confident like I'm going to go get 20
shots.
And if he's on the floor with both of them, he has a skill set that translates to where he can complement them. So I think he's in like a really, really good situation. And if you're a Lakers fan, despite the inefficiency in the preseason, I think you're pretty pleased with how he's played. All right, when we return, we're going to talk about Zach Edey. We're going to talk about Tidjane Salaun, Cody Williams, and Dillon Jones. All right, before we get into the last segment, I want to talk to you about FanDuel Because if you're an NFL or NBA fan, you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. And when you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play and so much more. And it's on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. And all you have to do is place your first $5 bet, and that's at FanDuel.com. Zach Edey. So, what were your thoughts about Zach Edey's performance against the Charlotte Hornets?
It's preseason. I think he'll be a lot better with Ja Morant, obviously. But he did shoot 3 threes. We're only going to count. He was 2 for 8. One of them was a heave. So he was 2 for 7. I don't want to see him shoot threes, man. I know it's preseason and, it's whatever. You can try new stuff. I don't want to see you shoot threes. You're 7'4", 3 bills, man. I don't want to see that at all. He did miss some shots off the left shoulder that he normally makes, at least that he was making in college. But defensively, man, it'd be interesting to see how that works. And, maybe someone in the comments could give me their opinion of his defense. But obviously he's going to have to play drop coverage, right? Big dude. But, Charlotte went small. They played Tidjane at the 5. He had to guard Tidjane deep. Tidjane hit a 3 from the logo or whatever that's the FedEx sign. Mm-hmm. He had to guard Grant Williams in space. Brandon Miller was putting him in pick and roll. And again, defending in space in the NBA is hard for every center but 3 guys. But I guess what was concerning, and then maybe I'm tripping, but Micic blew by him for a layup. And I'm and it wasn't some crafty Micic because he is crafty, but he got blown by on the layup. There were a couple of times where Trey Mann, got what he wanted. He missed a shot. And I just wonder, which it was one of my concerns about him defensively. And I'm just trying to figure out, are these legit concerns that I'm having right now, or is it just preseason? So it's something that I am going to pay attention to because, again, he is big. He does finish plays. He's going to be great as a dunker, but you got to play defense. And that might be a concern for me.
Yeah, man. It's I'm with you on that one. So, I thought the defense was going to be a concern, but I also could see him being an impactful defender in a sense. In the Mavs game, he showed some flashes of being able to use angles to cut off drives. Because if you bump into him, you're not gonna.
You're gonna lose that battle every time.
Here's the part that I'm really shocked about. It was a couple plays where Nick Richards was guarding him, and he was not able to establish really good low post position.
And when he got one of them blocked.
We got one of them blocked, but he was. Oh, you're talking about the dunk when he tried to dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm talking about in the low post. They gave him the ball on the block. So it was with the left block so he could come off his left shoulder. And I felt like he was just right outside of his comfort zone, right outside of it. And I think there was 2 of them that he missed. I thought no matter what, he was still going to be able to get to his sweet spots as far as posting up. I'd like to see him duck in more. Mm-hmm. I think if he did a little bit more ducking in, I know he's in Memphis. I'm call Zebo up and just learn from the Zebo school of ducking in. Mm-hmm. And if he does that, those quick duck ins, and if you feed him, he's going to be able to turn around. And he has the touch, but I was actually surprised how Nick Richards was able to push him out of his sweet spots and have him post up, in areas that, he wasn't the most comfortable with. But the 3 threes, I'm what are we doing here?
We just say 2. Just say 2. One was a heave.
2. Yeah, one was a 75-foot heave. But what are we doing here? I know it's preseason. It's when I saw him shoot those threes, I'm let's just get the regular season started. I already saw Miami allegedly draw up a play for Kel'el to shoot a game-tying 3.
Why do we play 5 preseason games in the NBA, man? Just give me 3.
Why am I on the flight to Milwaukee? Somebody responded dude, The Celtics and Nuggets went to Abu Dhabi, and you complained about going to Milwaukee.
I mean, I get, but that's different though. We trying to grow the game. You got the Emirate money. That's different. I understand what LeBron was talking about. I know he makes a bunch of money. He's made a bunch of money, but why are we playing the game in Milwaukee, man? Like,
but
it wasn't even on TV.
Why is Zach Edey shooting? Why is he even in the corner? And no defender is gonna follow him out.
Grant Williams clapped his hands, man, and stayed on the block. And he airballed short somehow. How do you airball short in the corner?
Because he don't belong in the corner. So that's exactly all right. Let's transition to another guy. Speaking of confidence, probably one of the most confident human ever in the world, Tidjane Salaun. I was following the box score because I was at the Mavs game last night, and I was like, all right, Tidjane, he looks like he cooled off. And then by the time I got home, I saw he still got his double figures, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. I was able to go back and watch the film. Tidjane finished 5 of 12 from the floor, so he got up 12 shots in
how many threes? Minutes. He was 3 for 10.
3 of 10 from 3. I mean, this is our third episode talking about Tidjane.
That's a good thing, though.
It's a good thing. I guess for the most part, if you make this preseason rookie report, you've done some good. But here's a play that I want to talk about. So I can't remember which defender it was, but Tidjane had the ball inside, like it was in between like the top of the key and half court. It was way out. And you could tell the defender was like, this dude can't dribble. And I mean, he was pressuring him.
Oh, yeah.
He was like all in his shirt. And, I can't remember who it was. And usually if I don't know who it was.
Wait, turnover or the basket he got?
It was the basket. It was like, because you had mentioned that every time he puts the ball on the floor, it's an adventure. So you could tell that it's either two things. The defender was like, I know he can't dribble. Or it could be a combination. And the defender knew, like, I'm trying to make this team. I need to, play. I mean, the way he was guarding him was so aggressive. Tidjane, it wasn't pretty. Got somehow 2 dribbles. Looks like it was kind of sloppy. Got to the lane and made a running floater,
But I don't know if it was the play before or the play after, but Jalen Wells had the same experience with Tidjane. He ripped him and he got himself a fast break dunk. So like you could tell teams are like, look, man, make him dribble, because as soon as he dribbles, the odds are in your favor that you're gonna get the ball or he's gonna take a wild shot.
Yeah, he's gotta work on the handle. But
real quick about Tidjane before we move on. He's taken 29 shots in 3 games. Take a guess how many of them have been threes.
20?
22. Hey. Yo, my man is French Davis Bertans right now, man.
Yeah. I mean, he did have a transition finish. He ran the floor, got a transition finish. There was one play where he, I want to say it was late in the game. And Tidjane is going to be fun to watch because he's going to be that guy that if you're playing like in the deep fantasy basketball league, you're like, all right, yeah. Charlotte's getting blown out. Tidjane time. He's gonna get some shots up, but he had this nice jab step,
side step three. Yeah,
that was nice. And then I was listening to the commentator, and he's like, he has plenty of confidence. So I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. All right, let's switch gears here. We're running out of time here. Speaking of plenty of confidence, there's a player who does not look like he has any confidence. And I mean, I talked to Leaf about it, because Leaf Tulane is our Utah Jazz guy. But Cody Williams looks to be the exact opposite of Tidjane Salaun. But I can't say, and I tweeted this, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see the tweet. I tweeted this last night while I was at the game. The signs were there. Like, I thought he was very passive in Colorado. But when I watched him last night against the Mavs, it was like he was just out there, wasn't confident. Then maybe in the third quarter or late third, early fourth, he tried to like make something happen, and he got fouled and hit like 2 free throws. The one rebound he got was like a really long rebound when the game was getting sloppy and it was like the ball was getting tipped out. But he looked like he was just coasting. Got the
Man,
ball, wasn't assertive. And Isaiah Collier, we talked about him briefly. Isaiah Collier didn't have like the best game, but he was trying to make something happen. When he came in, he was aggressive. He was looking for marketing. He was trying to
every
get in the
time.
paint. But I mean, but we know that's Collier's nature. That's who
Yeah.
he is. He's a dog. He's a bulldog. He's aggressive. But Cody Williams, man, he was just so passive and unassertive, concerning.
I'm not trying to be the slanderous guy. I wasn't high on Cody, and this is one of the reasons why. Like, he just is out there sometimes. I have him down against two NBA teams. He's taken 5 shots in 47 minutes. He has 1 field goal. Like, that's concerning. And again, I'm not really cutting him slack. Like, you have to do something. Somebody tweeted, I know who it was, tweeted he was putting up Tony Snell meme numbers, and like, I don't know, man. Cody has some talent, but you got to do something out there. And I personally think, again, this is maybe a scorching hot take, but maybe it's not. I think he should spend as much time as possible in the G League next year. And they should.
You mean this season?
This season, excuse me, yes. Yeah. I think it should be like mandated. And that can either make you or break you, because again, if you feel like you can't get loose down there in an even more up and down system, then it could be concerning. But he just has to be aggressive, man. And like, I know he's skinny. He can't really get by anybody because they stand him up because he's 190 at 6'8". But like, not rebounding, just standing in a corner, not doing anything, like, that's not good. I think he needs the G League to get stronger, to get better, and to be confident. Like, regardless of where you are, like, you were drafted 10th, and they're playing you minutes. This isn't I'm playing 8 minutes at the end of the game. Like, 47 minutes, that's a 2-game stretch.
Yeah.
Or a 1-game stretch. Yeah. Like, obviously you don't play 48 minutes, but like, in 47 minutes, you get up 5 shots. What are we doing out here?
But the signs were there. I'm looking at like my notes from him going into the draft, and one of the notes I had was not always assertive. But I put injuries may have played a role in that his freshman year. Then he was on a team with KJ Simpson and Tristan da Silva, who were, upperclassmen, had been there before. So maybe he was just trying to get in where he fits in. But he had under double-figure shot attempts in like his last 6 games. I don't remember exactly when I did the scouting report, but I always thought that he was like a weak rebounder. And remember, like, going into his freshman year at Colorado, the shooting was a concern, the 3-point shooting. He was efficient from 3 at Colorado, but it was on a very low volume of attempts. But my question going forward is like, all right, what if the 3-point shot isn't falling in the NBA and he's not like having a role where he has the ball in his hands a lot, which I think is going to be hard for him on Utah's team with Clark.
Well, really any team, because like, he's really basic off the dribble.
But he's best with the ball in his hands.
But I mean, to me, that's like in transition. In the half court, he's trying to go right. If you make him go left, he's spinning back right. There's not really any counters. There's no pace. There's no like real creativity. He's just like limited. And I mean, I'm not trying to sound like harsh, but like, if he's not like, he shot a 3 against Houston and he like airballed right. And it's just like, if he's not making threes and if you're best in transition, you have to at least rebound to put yourself in transition. And he doesn't rebound. It's like, what is going to translate? What's going to work for him? And that's why I feel like him being in the G League and them just saying, hey, man, you need to take 20 shots a game, dog. Like, you have to, on some Gilbert Arenas stuff. You got to go out there and be a dog. It's something, because I'm just concerned, man.
All right, let's wrap up with Dillon Jones, who I know was the New Zealand Breakers, but Dillon Jones got busy. 23 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. Now, he was actually fun to watch when I was watching this film, and I know we're low on time here, but it was like the best way to describe what Dillon Jones was doing to the New Zealand Breakers: skilled, bully ball. He showed the skill with the ball handling, the crossovers, the passing, but when he wanted to, he just said, I'm just going to play bully ball. And they could not stop him from getting to the cup. I mean, it was like a combination of just, I'm leaving this bully ball. There was one play. Who's their point guard? Is it Parker?
Yeah, Parker Jones from Cal, I believe.
Parker Jackson, Arizona. Smith? He's from California.
Yeah. Three names.
Literally, it was like a loose ball by the sideline, and he literally just snatched the ball out of his hands like I snatched when my son grabs one of my shoes, snatched it out of his hand and just went downhill and finished. But it got to the point where it looked like the guys on the breakers were just getting worn down. It was like a running back, like Derrick Henry. Just after a while, the linebackers are like, okay, man, let me try to arm tackle him because it's going to hurt. Try to like wrap him up. And that's how it looked like with Dillon Jones, just getting downhill, bumping guys, getting him out the way, either a layup or getting fouled. But then he was making mid-range pull-up J's and threes. It was the breakers. I think the Thunder only played like 6 or 7 guys. A lot of guys that you got to be like a crazy draft junkie to know some of the guys that are on the roster. But so far, I like what I've seen out of Dillon Jones. Even though like yesterday he played the way that he played at Weber State, which we didn't think he'd ever get that opportunity. He's another guy that I think was drafted late that's going to somehow find a way in the rotation. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. Once again, it's Rafael Barlowe and James Barlowe, and this is the Preseason Rookie Report, Volume 4. Stay tuned in the next episode. Probably go a little bit deeper into Cody Williams because Leaf Tulane is going to be on. We're going to talk about the Utah Jazz and how their young prospects have fared. I think it's been a mixed bag with some of the draft picks that the Jazz have had over the last year. It's still early. But once again, thank you for making the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. Now check out Josh Lloyd in fantasy or Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh is a legend. He will help you win your league. You can find Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And we are out of here.